Greetings! I am a Zentradi officer in search of the proto-culture.
And I'm the freaking boat.
And today we're going to be hunting anime. And if that wasn't awkward enough for you, Mysterious Girlfriend X on 8-Star Anime.
Let's get this party started, shall we? Oh.
So I'm your host, Chris Brown.
And I'm dead to head.
Okay, yeah.
No. I don't know, I can't really pull off Dave. It's not me.
You need a crappy hat. So,
Get this Cosby kids looking thing off my head. I was like, wow. I was like, God, I look like one of the Cosby kids.
When I worked at a hat store, they were like, you have to wear a hat. And I'm like, I don't wear hats, but I know how to run the register. And they're like, you got to wear a hat. Okay, so I went over to the clearance aisle, and I found this Adidas bucket for $10. And with our discount, I got it for $6. So I wore the hat. And then, for 2 months, people were like, hey, I like that hat. Where can I get one? And then I was told, we don't sell those hats anymore. Quit wearing it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. So,
Not as awkward as these 3 episodes of Mysterious Girlfriend X.
No, not even close. Ladies and gentlemen, we just finished watching episodes 8 through 10. And,
which I have lovingly called the Weasel Ark.
I do agree with that. As we go through episode 8, things get intimate, but not in that way.
Or at least not that far.
At least not that far. Tsubaki has a dream.
That he gets to second base.
Yep. And that's all he can think about for pretty much most of this episode. Until he finds himself wandering in front of a bunch of apartments, at which those apartments happen to be where Urube lives.
So we find that out because Urube shows up behind him on a bicycle.
Yep. Well, she invites him up to just hang out and do whatever, and...
No, not to do whatever. And then it rains!
No, right? But no,
because the storm gods of Japan love a decent plot.
Yep. And at this point, Urube has decided that, well...
They talk.
They talk. But things go from one way to another where Tsubaki has realized he may have made a mistake.
It's a little aggressive.
Just a little bit. And so...
But he's filled with a lot of remorse, and he leaves in shame and, I guess, in a way, fear.
Yeah, but not in a way I think he should handle.
Of course not. But of all the things during this arc we're going to bash this kid about, and we are.
Yes.
That one's the one I don't fault him the most. He panicked. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a kid.
Yes. And so, Urube kind of feels the same way, because at the end of this, Tsubaki wants to
Be
punished for this. She's trying to tell him no, but he's adamant about this. He's like, no, this has to be done. I wasn't a man about what I did.
And he asked for 5 across the face.
Blam! At which she then shares his pain, saying, this is, the whole, So, at which she's like, look, this is part of my responsibility. Hey, this is a us thing.
Yeah.
We're getting through this together. Thus we end episode 8. Episode 9, where the weaseling really happens.
So Urube is hanging out with her friend,
Okay.
Oka. And Oka does her hair. Slice of life moment. And she shows up in class and everybody's all like, hey, I can see your face. Whoa, you're kind of cute.
Yeah, Tsubaki's not too thrilled about that.
A little jealousy shows up, a little possessiveness. And then they realize, wait a minute, she kind of looks like an idol that's kind of popular right now.
Yeah, and which Tsubaki's weasels his way into a bookstore and buys the picture book.
Of this model.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, Urube gets word of it. She's not too thrilled with it either.
Meet me at the park, I want to look at this book.
She looks at it. Also destroys it.
With her friend, the Scissors.
And it turns out both of these characters are possessive.
And had he just not been a weasel and explained to his classmates, no, this is my girlfriend, stop it. Or, hey, maybe I shouldn't spend equivalent of $30 on a book of some other person.
Yeah, I know, right? That's like Japanese media prices. Gotta love them. But the fun doesn't stop there.
Because episode 10, Super Weasel.
Yeah, as he goes back to a bookstore again and buys another picture book of the same idol. Why? Why?
I guess he likes to see scissors in action.
I know, right? Well, he gets a shot of panties out of it, so...
Oh my god. I can't believe you made that joke. I mean, it's true, but
It's true. It's true. I'll say there's no denying it. It's in the show.
Yeah, I think part of this that is so awkward for us is that we are not the age group of this anime. Mm-hmm. And while it's entertaining and it's adorable at times, and it's flippin' weird. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is the arc of this thing right off the bat. Is this anime is weird.
I mean, for a typical romantic comedy setting, this is beyond. Yeah. But beyond that, we get to episode 10. He's coming out of the bookstore where he meets Hayakawa.
The girl from middle school that he had a crush on.
Mm-hmm. But she looks a little different this time around.
She's got her hair done. Nah, she cut it.
Yep. And as they head to the park to kind of chat and catch up a little bit, a little flirting here and there. She seems to be all of a sudden admitting...
aware of him.
Yes. And admitting to the fact that she knew that there was a crush going on.
Here's where Super Weasel happens. She asks a specific question. Do you have a girlfriend?
And the weirdest thing is, now, before I say anything else, there's a reminder. He was asked to keep this a secret. Now, granted...
I don't think he was.
Yeah, he was. That was one of the things that they mentioned at the beginning of the series.
I don't think that they meant to keep it secret because...
They were not... Well, the thing is...
We didn't let me finish.
Okay.
I don't think there was a whole, let's keep this secret. I think it's more along the lines of, they're in school, and they just... It's kind of an unspoken secret.
It is, but there is a point in time where they actually kind of...
Yeah. I don't recall that.
Well, they're like, let's not make it a big public thing. However, with that being said, that's actually several... Because there's several moments where he could have just said, that's my girlfriend, and most things would have been solved.
But see, I think it's because he's a coward, not because it's a secret. I think he's more...
Him and Uno are no different from the idea that they've been keeping low.
But I think it's because they're more worried about being teased and ashamed. They're not... And there may be rules, who knows, but it doesn't seem like it's a secret to protect each other. I think it's a secret because they're not strong enough in character, just admit it.
I would think so too, but there's no reason for him not to say that that's my girlfriend, or him not to say it's his girlfriend to anybody if there wasn't some form of secrecy to it.
It's so bonkers.
Yeah, I know. But in any case, folks, the weird part about this is the fact that he says, no, I don't. Which, somebody who doesn't even go to that school, who doesn't even have any affiliation with that school, other than maybe a few people she may know.
From middle school.
If she still talks to them.
Well, she does ask about two of them, one of them being Uno.
Yeah, but it's obvious that she obviously doesn't keep in contact with him, so it's kind of like, telling her probably wouldn't have been a bad thing. But in any case, from there on, it seems that Hayakawa seems to push the flirt game a little bit.
Because we've learned that she just recently broke up, and she wants a friend, and she asks Sabuki, can we talk some more? Can we hang out? Whatever her intentions are, they don't seem nefarious or anything. She just really looks like she could use a friend.
Yeah.
And he says...
he says... he does say yeah. He's...
But what's his condition?
That he tastes her drool. Which was kind of odd that he would do that. Now, granted...
And she went along with it.
She did go along with it, but I always thought it was odd in this particular scene because, unless you were Urube, one would think he meant a kiss.
Yeah, this isn't the normal...
And all of a sudden, she immediately does the whole, doop doop, and hands him her finger. And I was like, if anybody would have said, "I want to taste your drool," most people would have thought a kiss almost immediately.
I think she's aware. I think she knows what's going on, just like Oka knew.
I mean, yeah, to a degree. And so, but when he comes to his senses finally and doesn't go through with it, she's like,
And confesses what's going on.
He's like, oh, so you do have a girlfriend. Okay, gotcha. All right, see ya. And kind of leaves it in a kind of a fast-paced, almost very awkward moment kind of way. And to the point where even he's confused. But then she meets up with Urabe and hands her a flyer for a school festival for her school. Tells her, hey, come on by, we'd like to see you.
Because Sabuki's coming too.
Yeah. And she's kind of like, okay. So when Urabe questions Sabaki goes back to his weaseling again.
Well, to be fair, there's one more step in between that.
Excuse me.
So Hakawa, calls him in the middle of the night, meets up with him, and she's got a bruise on her face, and says to him, my ex-boyfriend showed up, and she doesn't really come out and say he hit me, but it's heavily implied, and, if you're with me, I can kind of show him that I'm with someone else, and he might go away. And Sabaki is, he's hesitant at first, because, don't you have any other friends that can do this, because I got a girlfriend. And she's like, no, I don't. So she kind of guilt trips him into doing this. But instead of talking to Urabe, he just goes. And then she catches up with him and goes along with him. Mm-hmm.
So at this point, we're at
Are they going together?
They don't go together.
No, that's right.
Because Sabaki had told her that
he lied to her.
Yes. So he was going shopping with Ueno. At which she's like, okay. And he goes to the school festival on his own and meets up with Hayakawa. Thus where episode 10 ends. Right before. So this is kind of a two-parter episode.
Yeah.
Of course, we stopped halfway through, so it's kind of a to-be-continued moment.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that the next time we discuss the show.
And see if Weaseling continues.
Yes. I'm sure a lot of you are probably looking forward to voting after the end of this, but me and Dave have kind of put some thought process behind this a little bit. Yeah.
About?
The voting.
The voting?
Yeah.
Oh, the scoring?
Yes.
Yeah.
To be honest...
The scoring's not going to change too much.
No, but we do like to talk about some anime and how we feel about it, so we can still talk about that. So
we'll do our scoring at the end.
At the end of it. So, to be honest, this show has gotten to a point where one would say awkwardness, but I consider it more of...
Well, one thing that I really like about the series didn't happen in this arc. Usually that whole dream sequence is interesting and it's neat
they
looking.
Only did that once, and that was in episode 8. Might want to shut that off. Just a little bit. Yeah, don't let that get sued one day.
That was funny.
Anyways, I guess you could say the fact that the one dream sequence we had was kind of short-lived and it ended up
and it was nowhere near artistic. And that's the other thing about this series is they like to try to be artistic. Like, there's a scene, and all of a sudden we cut away to some kind of mundane thing, like water dripping and joining other water, or the food unraveling. Just all these odd imagery.
Well, what they like the moment between Urban and Oka when after the whole incident about the whole body changing area and whatnot, where senses changing all that jazz, where she lets Oka have drool and her glasses fog up and whatnot.
Experience.
Like, as soon as she took the drool and she kind of had that moment, it cuts to some food and it like
wrapped sushi type food
and it like falls apart. And I was just like,
but I do like how
I'm like I get the metaphor that they were kind of going with that with, and I was just like, well, like, come on, y'all.
I do like how they use some coloring different in this. Like, there's a scene where everything's kind of black and white except for Urube's ear and her tears are colored.
Yes,
so
that
I mean,
was interesting.
They
I think they're trying to get you to the idea that those two things are correlated, and
well, just willing to go into these strange visual cues is neat about this anime.
Yeah.
It's one of the coolest aspects of this anime. The strange dream sequences, the use of, like I said, mundane items, coloring changes, and that's just the ones we remember. Who knows what else we might have missed?
And I think that's where it kind of plays put a heavy role into the idea that all the kind of insinuating certain scenes or certain feelings
Right.
by doing these things. So you're kind of getting the idea of where your focus should be.
Right. I mean, it's a very visual-heavy novel-let kind of thing without it being just TNA, and I really appreciate that.
I don't think this series really could be TNA the way it's set up to begin with.
Oh, well, I mean, we've seen high school settings that are High School of the Dead.
Well, yes, but in this particular sense, this was pure, true
Kind of romance.
romance, not silly slapstick.
Fan service.
Yeah. But most series, usually when you start off, you'll know if it's going to be that way or not right off the bat. I mean,
It's it's fun. If you've seen any of our other reviews, you know that we both think highly of it and would advise that you continue checking it out with us, if you will. Maybe you've already watched them all and just watching this to see our thoughts of these 3 episodes.
indeed. We do have about 3 more episodes left. Like I said, we'll get to the second half of our school festival.
Weasel Fest.
Weasel Fest, I know, right? I do have to admit, these last few episodes have been nothing but straight weasel. And I'm just like, man, what kind of boyfriend are you? It's like, at least...
I mean, you try to chalk up some of it to culture differences, but...
That's not culture difference.
Dude, grow a backbone.
Yeah, that's not really a culture difference. Like, my thing is love may have different expressions in other countries, but this is really no different than...
If someone asks you a direct question, don't lie.
I know, it's like, there's no reason to lie.
If you gotta be sneaking around to do something,
Yeah.
Weasel,
exactly. But hopefully we'll see what happens with Tsubaki and Urabe in this next, when we finish the second half of this storyline. So, till next time, folks, I'm Chris.
I'm Dave the Head.
And you also saw the Pope and everyone else. We'll talk to you later.